What if the empire built by Jay-Z and Beyoncé was never as untouchable as it seemed? What if behind the Grammys, billion-dollar deals, and flawless images lies a trail of silenced voices, destroyed careers, and women blackballed into oblivion? Well, now the silence is breaking. Nicki Minaj has officially declared war on the Carters, and this time she's not alone. Out of the shadows come two names you might not have expected: Blu Cantrell and Mya, two once promising stars who vanished from the spotlight with barely an explanation. Now they're allegedly ready to talk, and their stories, they match up with Nicki's claims of sabotage, censorship, and industry manipulation. And if what they're saying is true, the world's most powerful couple might finally be facing the storm they thought they'd never see. But this story isn't just about music. It's about betrayal, abuse of power, and the dark side of fame that no one dared to speak about until now. Because the fear of the Carters, it's wearing off, and what's coming next could change everything. At one point, Blu Cantrell was on her way to becoming the next big thing in R&B. With a powerhouse voice and chart-topping singles like Hit 'Em Up Style, she had labels fighting over her, literally. But then, just as her star began to rise, something strange happened. In 2004, Arista Records, her own label, forgot to renew her contract. Let that sink in. One of their most promising artists, and they just let her go. No explanation, no backup plan, just vanished. And as her career crumbled, Blu realized something chilling. She never made anywhere near the money she was supposed to. She was being used. And worse, left behind. In an interview, Blu admitted she had no one guiding her through the business side of the industry. No team, no protection, no one fighting for her. She was a talented woman navigating sharks alone. But the most disturbing part came years later. In 2012, Blu made headlines again, not for music, but for a bizarre mental health episode. She was found in Santa Monica screaming in the street about poisonous gas, eventually taken for psychological evaluation. The media wrote her off as crazy, but those close to her say something else was going on, something darker. Allegedly, she had a falling out with Beyonce. The reason? Jay-Z. Rumors swirled that Blu and Jay had a romantic connection, something Blu never confirmed but never fully denied. In an interview with Wendy Williams, she coyly admitted she had a huge crush on him, but some say it was more than that. And when you're in Beyonce's orbit, that kind of tension doesn't go unnoticed. At the time, both Blu and Beyonce were rising as solo stars, but only one would be allowed to shine. According to industry insiders, anyone who posed a threat to Beyonce's spotlight was quickly and quietly removed. And Blu? She didn't stand a chance. There were whispers that the music video for Bonnie and Clyde looked suspiciously similar to Blu's promo for Round Up. Which came first? And after Blu scored a massive hit with Sean Paul, Beyonce swooped in and released Baby Boy with the same artist just months later. Coincidence? Maybe. But after that, Blu's career went silent. Now, with Nicki Minaj blowing the lid off the Carter-controlled industry, sources say Blu Cantrell is gearing up to tell her side, and what she has to say could be explosive. Long before she faded from the spotlight, Mya was a force. Grammy-nominated, chart-topping, and known for her sultry voice and signature style, she was everywhere. From her debut album in 1998 to smash hits like Case of the X and My Love Is Like, Whoa, Mya was building an empire of her own, but just like Blu Cantrell, Mya's rise hit a wall, and fast. Behind the scenes, whispers of a rumored relationship with Jay-Z began to circulate, especially after they collaborated on the remix of her hit Best of Me. The timing was suspicious, and it wasn't long before the narrative around her began to shift. By 2014, blogs were running with claims that Jay-Z had allegedly continued a secret relationship with Mya, even while married to Beyonce, and that he was financially supporting her. Whether that's true or not, one thing became clear. Mya's name started getting dragged, her reputation took hit after hit, and soon the industry started turning its back on her. The smear campaign didn't stop there. Rappers like 50 Cent publicly humiliated her, making vulgar claims and painting her as someone from the streets. Her image was no longer that of a respected R&B star. It was being reshaped into something toxic, something disposable, and her label, they didn't protect her. In fact, it said they helped bury her career. Just like Blu, Mya was left unsupported, underpaid, and outcast. And the rumor mill pointed back to the same shadowy influence Beyonce and Jay-Z, the Carters. Industry insiders believe their reach extended far beyond music into the boardrooms of record labels, the PR machines, the very gatekeepers of the business. And anyone who got too close to Jay, anyone who might challenge Beyonce's reign, they were quietly blackballed, silenced, forgotten. But Mya never disappeared completely. She kept creating music independently, and if the latest reports are true, she's ready to speak. She may not have said it out loud yet, but the timing of her reemergence, just as Nicki Minaj and Blu Cantrell are firing shots, hasn't gone unnoticed. And the question now is, what exactly is she going to say? Nicki Minaj isn't just a rapper, she's a global brand, a trailblazer, a voice that helped define an entire generation of women in hip hop. So, how does someone with that much talent and influence end up being muted, censored, pushed aside? According to Nicki, it wasn't an accident, it was orchestrated, and the people she believes are behind it: Roc Nation, Jay-Z, Beyoncé, Desiree Perez. Nicki recently reposted a bombshell interview with Diore Hadley, the estranged daughter of Roc Nation CEO Desiree Perez. Diore is currently suing her mother for allegedly having her committed to a mental institution just to silence her. But what caught the world's attention was what she said about Nicki. Diore claimed that Roc Nation had deliberately sabotaged Nicki Minaj's career, that they went beyond just blocking deals or ignoring her work. They allegedly targeted her family, her husband, her child, her platform, her freedom of speech. Nicki didn't deny it. In fact, she doubled down. She's been vocal for years about feeling shut out of the industry she helped build. She's accused streaming platforms of shadow banning her music, accused media outlets of ignoring her. And now she says she has proof. Nicki's social media reach has mysteriously dropped, features removed, fan interactions limited, unexplained glitches plaguing her pages. She posted screenshots, messages from fans, and system errors that seem far from coincidental. And if you ask her, this was intentional. Someone or some empire was trying to erase her, to control the narrative, but that wasn't the end of it. According to Nicki, this sabotage wasn't just digital, it was deeply personal. She revealed that there were powerful figures spreading lies about her marriage, trying to turn her husband, Kenneth Petty, against her, all while presenting a polished image to the public. And here's what's chilling. Nicki says the same people behind her sabotage are also connected to Diddy, that the entire smear campaign was meant to keep her in the spotlight so no one would look too closely at them. It's not just paranoia, it's a pattern. And now, with Blu Cantrell and Mya's stories aligning in eerie detail, Nicki's claims don't seem so far-fetched. Because if Nicki Minaj, arguably one of the most powerful women in music, can be targeted, who's really safe? If there's one person who shattered the illusion of Roc Nation's pristine image, it's Diore Hadley. She's not a rapper, she's not a singer, she's the daughter of Desiree Perez, the powerful CEO of Roc Nation, and right now she's turning the entire industry on its head. In a viral interview, Diore claimed that her own mother, the same woman who helped build Jay-Z's empire, used her connections to institutionalize her. Not for mental illness, but for being a threat, for knowing too much. And what she knows involves Nicki Minaj, According to Deore, she's witnessed firsthand how Roc Nation abused its power to destroy Nicki's career. She said they didn't just blacklist her, they went after her family, her husband, and even her child. She called it a trauma that should scare the American public. And she's not exaggerating, because if Roc Nation could do that to Nicki, imagine what they've done to artists with less power, less visibility, less protection. Deore didn't give every detail, but what she hinted at was enough. She said she's seen the manipulation, heard the conversations, felt the fear, and she openly supported Nicki for speaking up when no one else would. What's even more disturbing is how she framed the situation. She said, "If it can happen to me, the CEO's daughter, it can happen to anybody." And here's the kicker: Deore isn't chasing clout. She's not promoting an album. She's risking her safety, her reputation, and her own mother's wrath to speak out. Which raises a question that's becoming harder to ignore. If someone that close to Roc Nation is confirming Nicki's claims, then how deep does this rabbit hole really go? Nicki Minaj isn't just aiming at Roc Nation, she's coming for the heads of the table, and that includes Jay-Z and Steve Stout. Let's rewind to December 2023. Nicki was on a live stream with Kai Cenat promoting her new album, laughing, twerking, having fun, but instead of support, she got shade. Music journalist Elliot Wilson, who's been closely tied to Jay-Z for years, mocked her on Twitter, calling it hip-hop journalism with a sarcastic eye roll. Nicki didn't let it slide. She clapped back hard, accusing Elliot of being so obsessed with Jay-Z that he couldn't stand to see other artists shine. She posted, "If you'd spit Jay-Z's DMND out for 1 second, you'd be able to be happy for the newcomers." It wasn't just about Elliot. Nicki was pointing at something bigger, a media machine that protects its chosen few and tears down anyone who doesn't play along. Then came the title drama. Nicki exposed what she called a flat-out scam, claiming Jay-Z and Steve Stout misled the public about her involvement in the sale of his music streaming platform, Tidal. She said they tried to silence her with the payout, $1 million to shut up and disappear, but she didn't take it. Instead, she went public. She accused them of pushing false narratives to protect themselves and distract from their allies' scandals, who was facing serious legal accusations at the time. Nicki tweeted, "They got to keep the conversation on me so that no one talks about these charges against their BFF." She also referred to Steve Stout and Jay-Z as part of a disgusting rat pack that allegedly turned a blind eye, or worse, to the abuse of young artists in the industry. She name-dropped Aaliyah, Cassie, Kim Porter. She hinted that they knew more than they were letting on, and she made it clear she wasn't afraid to say their names anymore. In her words, "You bald head bowling ball ninjas only got energy for women online. You never pressed gangsters in person." It was bold, unfiltered, and serious. Because when you come for billionaires backed by the biggest machine in music, there's usually a price. But Nicki, she's done being silent. And the real question is, what's she going to reveal next? For years, the music industry protected the Carters like royalty, untouchable, unquestionable, and unstoppable. But now, the walls are shaking. Nicki Minaj is done playing nice. She's naming names, dropping receipts, and dragging the skeletons out of Roc Nation's closet. And what's more dangerous than a woman with power, a platform, and nothing left to lose? A whole wave of them, Blu Cantrell, Mya, and others, have nothing to prove, but everything to reveal. And if they really start talking, this could be the beginning of one of the biggest takedowns in entertainment history. Because the narrative is shifting. The fear of the Carters, it's fading, and when silence turns into stories, and stories turn into movements, there's no PR team on earth that can stop the truth from spreading. So now we wait for the next voice, for the next expose, for the next woman to stand up and say, "They did it to me also." Because if enough of them come forward, it could be game over.